Is now streaming.
All right,
I'm going to press
Facebook,
record.
YouTube, and Twitch. All right.
In 3, 2, 1.
Leaders and healers, gamers and claimers, ladies and gentlemen from around the universe, from around the globe, from around the community, thank you for joining us on the Power, Purpose, and Passion podcast. I am your host, Anthony Cheam, speaker, author, life coach, trainer, friend, father, brother, son, just wanting to serve the community, the world, abroad, wherever you are listening to this, either passively or actively in your car, at home, at work, wherever you are. I'm here to get into your heart, into your ear, into your spirit, to ignite something in you that can literally change the direction of your life. And this is a podcast where we help you, guide you to claim your power, clarify your purpose, and cultivate your deepest, widest, and highest passions possible. So ultimately, you can show up as a better version of yourself, upgrading your life, updating your life, installing new software, hardware into your mind, body, and soul. So ultimately, you can ultimately inspire others to do the exact same. And that's where life gets juicy and crazy and powerful. So thank you for joining us. I'm excited today. Today's topic, we're going to do an open discussion. That's all we're going to do. Every Friday, we're going to talk about, Cam's going to have a few things to talk about, a few questions. I'm certainly can provide some insights. And I'm sure, Cam and I have some crazy discussions and it just goes off on tangents. So, we're just going to dedicate this Friday, maybe the future Fridays, to just going crazy with our minds and going crazy with our genius and creativity. And maybe perhaps if you guys are listening to this live, ask any questions, ask anything you want, and we will do our best to clarify a few things. Okay, so thank you. What's up, Cam? How you doing, man?
I am doing really good. I must say you're mastering that intro. You're getting it down.
Thanks, man.
But no, I'm doing really good, and I like the idea of open discussion because sometimes before the show or sometimes after the show, people don't know this, but we will just talk for like 45 minutes. They're like, "Oh yeah, we have to do a podcast. Let's get into that." So if we could maybe just record that talk, it's perfect. No, I love it. And so today yesterday I had it's funny. Okay, so in February I had this thing where I was like, okay, I just let go. I surrender. It was a lot of just sort of letting go of putting pressure on myself and just feeling a little bit lighter as a human being. And then March break, I called it Let Go 2.0, where I had to let go a further step. There was another, I didn't think I could let go anymore. And then around October, it was Let Go version 3. And Let Go version 3 was wonderful, I must say. And I think I'm on Let Go 4.0. I think it just happened yesterday. And by Let Go 4.0, I mean it just keeps coming back. This inner cynic who just puts pressure on me keeps coming back, and I always have to keep letting go. Or it's sort of you're off course and you adjust, then you're off course and you adjust, and then it's similar to that, but to put a little perspective into what this inner cynic is, it's basically it doesn't let me stay still or do nothing because it's so identified with the things that I do. I feel if I wasn't doing things, people wouldn't like me, people wouldn't appreciate me, I wouldn't have any friends, people would, you know what I mean? My everything around me would fall apart if I wasn't a person of action, a person who is proactive, a person who accomplishes things. And it's weird how ingrained that is because like I said, I've let go of it 4 times now. but it's so deep that it keeps coming up, and I guess yesterday I went to my brother's house and we hung out for a bit, and I must say my brother is a master of this stuff. He has mastered it. He just goes with the flow when he feels okay, I want to go eat a bowl of cereal, but I'm working on something right now. He'll know that okay, I'm gonna go do what I feel, and then I feel eventually it'll come back to this and I'll get even more done. So he'll move, he'll go upstairs, he'll get cereal, he'll come back, he'll eat it, and then by the time he's done the cereal, he's, without even questioning, back on his computer, back doing what he's supposed to do. And he's that's his flow, you know what I mean? And to be fair, he's turning 25 soon, so he's got 4.5 years on me. He definitely understands his adult self a little bit more than I do myself. But yeah, no, he really, really inspired me to really question that part of me that is so like just pressure on myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, have you ever dealt with anything like that? Because I know you're a very high achiever. You get a lot done. You learn a lot. You ran a marathon. Like you did so much. And so have you ever had to deal with like letting go of expectation on yourself? Finally deciding, okay, I'm gonna like, there's no pressure to do like, cause I know you have a goal to like, you know, obviously change people's lives, change the world, you know, all this stuff. Does that ever weigh you down? Does that ever like freak you out? Like, oh, I have to do this? Or
well, yeah, you know what? It's funny that you say that. I deal with that all the time. I deal with the pressure that I put on myself. Again, the inner cynic or the ego. As you said, the ego is so attached to what you do or your title or your degree that you earned at college or university, or lack of degree, or it's attached to what you do, what you own, what you say, what people think of you, all the things that materialize that the ego thinks it is. But yeah, the cynic certainly comes up quite a bit. And the truth be told there, Cam, I think, let's face it, everybody. Okay, so the qualities that your brother felt, as an example, like he could just let go. Yeah, like that's a great quality. That's an amazing quality where you could just let go and be free. But there's, as I said to you on previous podcasts, as I said to people in the audiences, there is a healthy side and a unhealthy side. There is a light side and a dark side. So oftentimes, I remember one of my exercises one of my friend Miranda did on me, and it was brilliant. And I've used it on myself and a few other people too, having done it. And what she took me through is name someone that you despise. And okay. And then I said, okay, what's someone that irritates you? And I name the person. I said, what's 3 qualities that you don't like about this person? And it was like lazy. What was it? Lazy. Well, anyway, so I'll just use lazy as an example. And then she turned around. She said, okay, what's something positive about being lazy? And I was like, well, and it was hard for me to like think that, man, that's hard because I'm an achiever. I like to do things. I like to take action. She goes, no, truthfully, let's get creative here. And she took me through this thing, and she basically said, and I said, well, you relax, you take care of yourself, you chill, you basically are carefree and not a care in the world. There's less stress. You're just kind of just free. And she said, well, isn't that interesting? Would you say, and it really opened my eyes, and I had an aha moment. Would you say you need a little bit more of that in your life? And I went, wow, yes, I do. And I just discovered that I didn't have a lot of free time. And anytime I did have a free time, I had this inner cynic, as you have come out, as everybody has come out and say, you should be doing this and you should be doing that. Not learning how to be flexible and just kind of rotate through and navigate myself through that and be okay with not doing anything, or just watching a movie, or just reading a book that's not self-help nature, right? Reading whatever, or reading a magazine, or just chilling and playing with your kids and whatever, just doing nothing, mindless activities that just literally doesn't take your total focus, and just letting go for that moment. So those qualities that I came up with, like the lazy, liar, I think the other one was arrogant. And the one question she asked me, she says, what's so good quality about being arrogant? And I'm like, oh man, come on, now you're stretching. She's like, no, what is? And I said, I guess they think more of themselves. They think confidently of themselves. And she said, isn't that interesting? Would you say you need more of that? I said, really? I don't think I do. Like I'm pretty confident. And then she kind of turned it around and said, maybe perhaps you're a little bit overly confident, because there's healthy sides and unhealthy sides to everything. And maybe perhaps you need to kind of bring it down a bit and become a little bit more practical with other people, and not overwhelm other people with your energy, because they may not receive your energy as much as some people do. And so I kind of had to kind of be flexible, and it brought awareness to my life, and it made me a better teacher, more aware of the subtle energies, negative and positive energies of certain qualities that I possess. And it actually helped me do a little bit more shadow work, and we can get into shadow as well. And shadow is a term that has been used for, the personal unconscious, or elements that are in your personality or in your psyche that you've disowned or disassociated or denied, or that you hate about yourself, that you just don't want to accept. And then eventually gets to a point where it's so not accepted, you disassociate it completely, that you project it onto other people, that your anger, you start to seek out people that are angry, and you tell them that it's their anger, but they are just becoming hooks for your own anger. And as you're projecting your own anger, it doubles the anger. So this person that's angry, that you're telling, that you're saying, or defining, or you're condemning, or you're judging, that's angry, it's really your own anger, that you're projecting onto them, and you're just not owning up to that anger. And it can literally, as Ken Wilber talks about, it can literally halt all developmental growth right in its tracks. It's like kryptonite to Superman. And so it's good to do shadow work. Like, there's a process I've talked about called the 3-2-1 process, and I'm sure I'll get into it in a second. But going to see a therapist if you have deep wounds, you completely disassociated with it, wounds in your past, things that you don't like about yourself, and seeking professional help that can actually bring the shadow into awareness, and then you could re-own those qualities. Because the truth of the matter is, anger can actually be a positive quality, but because like you've completely disassociated and you've judged it as something so negative and so bad that you've basically disassociated the good and bad qualities of anger. So anger, as an example, when it would be a good quality, let's say, for example, you just all of a sudden you've gained all this weight and you're like, I'm so sick and tired of being fat and out of shape and feeling like this. And I'm sick of feeling tight in my clothes. I'm sick of it. And you get anger and you direct that anger to make a change. That anger can actually serve you. So it's good to kind of re-own those qualities. And as you re-own those qualities that you're projecting onto other people, what will essentially happen is, and I know from my own experience, I become a lot more flexible, less judgmental, more compassionate towards other people's behavior, because I know that as I judge them, I realize, wow, it's arising something in me because I am projecting my own stuff onto them. It's actually my quality that's being brought up. And so oftentimes I say to people is that oftentimes when you are attracted to somebody, you're attracted to the qualities of that person that you want to possess. It's igniting something in you that you are denying inside yourself too, that you're projecting those good qualities onto them that you're denying. So there's good shadow or golden shadow, what they call golden shadow, and there's also called dark shadow. So we project good things and we can project bad things. So people that admire have a certain person that they admire, and they project
like good.
Isn't that amazing? So
yeah.
So what they do, what you do is you project all this amazing goodiness onto your heroes, and you end up hero worshiping. And part of the reason why they're great is because you're giving them that greatness and you're denying your own greatness. So take back your greatness, take back your bad shadow that you're denying, heal up those wounds, and your greatness will be fulfilled and integrated within you. Because the truth of the matter is, if you continue to have kryptonite just floating around in your psyche that's preventing you from growing and going to the next level of your development, man, you'll find yourself taking 2 steps forward and 2 steps back. So I'm sure we'll talk about the 3-2-1 process, and it's a basic process. And I won't get into the gist of why it's called the 3-2-1, but understand something. When something is so painful, we don't make it our own. We completely shut it out of our personality, out of our I, our first person, to a second person, you, or out there. And then it's so bad, then we project it onto a third person it. So it goes from first person, second person, to third person, and we project it out there. It's no longer in us. And so what we want to do is reverse the polarities, discover what's blocking us or what's charging us, discover what it is, identify it, go back to the second person, which is identify it, and then put it in like a chair, and then speak to it, talk to it, let it ask you questions. Why are you so angry? Why are you so mad at this person? Why is this irritates you so much? And it might just say, because this person's a complete and utter prick, son of this and F-bomb that, and let it speak to you, let it ask you questions. And then the final stage of the 3-2-1 process is then to not just talk to it, you then switch sides, you then become the anger, and you speak as if you're the anger itself. And at that moment, it'll no longer become threatening to you. The people that are around you that are angry will no longer charge you as much. Now, it takes some time. Now, as I said, if it's severe pain and severe wounds, then you need some professional help from a psychotherapist, or that is professional in Gestalt, or transactional analysis, or any of these therapies that are out there. But the point of the matter is that the more and by the way, we all have shadow. There's collective shadow. Remember the 4 dimensions we talked about yesterday? We have our own shadow, and then we have group shadow, collective shadow. Just like there is individual narcissism, there's group narcissism as well. So just owning up to those things. And so that we can, because as I said, there's good qualities to those characteristics that we're denying. And if you feel like there's not a lot of things that bother you, perhaps you're not expressing your greatness and you're hero worshiping everyone, and your golden shadow, you're denying your golden shadow, your great shadow. You can do the same thing. Let's say, for example, you worship LeBron James as a basketball player, and you're just like, oh, he's just so amazing. Or you worship your professor at university, and you're like, oh, my professor's so amazing. What you do is you identify their greatness, put their greatness into a chair, speak to it, and then become it, and and then literally talk as if you're that person, and then re-own your greatness. So anyway, I went off on a tangent there, Kim. I don't know where that came from.
That's okay. No, I feel like what that came from was somebody needed to hear it. And so you said it,
yeah,
honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think I'd like to get more into that for sure. But I had another question about like the whole, because my brother, he says it's like a gut feeling, like he follows his intuition with what action to take in the moment. Because a lot of people get caught up with action, like I need to organize what action I'm going to take, when really what Ram Dass says is the next piece is always in front of you. Like when you're going on a walk, you're not thinking about 10 steps from now. You're going to take the step that's right in front of you. You're going to do what you need to do right now to get to the next step, to the next step, to the next step. And yeah, like it's basically this inner knowing. It's like a very, very subtle thing, but if you are chill enough, if your mind is quiet enough, you feel like, oh, okay, I'm going to do this. Like this is what I need to do. And basically, that's like my ideal, I guess, goal in a sense is just to be able to completely let go of expectation, because that is the only thing that stresses me out. Expectation. No expectations from life. And even and detach from any outcome, whether it's good or bad. I just want to be able to know that I won't be affected. It doesn't matter to me. Like that's just like, because I'm the total opposite, right? Yeah. When I said, "Oh, my brother's got it," when I hung out with him, it was great. I feel like that was literally my shadow or whatever, like appreciating that part of him and putting him on a pedestal for that, because that's exactly what I want. Is that like, I was just journaling about it last night. Like, just that's exactly what I want, is just to know that, you know, like I'm just chill. I'm enjoying life as it comes, and it's fun, and I like it, and I'm not so stressed, and I don't sit around thinking about how close I'm getting to my goals and blah, 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 blah. I've had so many goals. It's ridiculous. There's still, you know, things that I want in life. But like, it's just really, it's tough when you have that part of your mind that will not quiet. So how would you catch it in the moment? Because there are moments where I could feel like, oh yeah, you're thinking too much ahead, or you are putting too many expectations on yourself, or you're trying too hard, or whatever it might be. Because that's literally my journal. It is a collection of short stories about me trying too hard. Like that's all it is. And so like how would you stop that thing in the moment? On a continuous basis, because I know for a fact, even today as an example, I will go through my day, and at least like 10 times an hour, this voice in my head will very subtly like disguise itself as me, like a puppet, and say, you should be doing this, or I should be doing this, or blah blah blah, you know. How would I in the moment know to catch that and not get caught up in another cycle of...
Dude, you are catching it. That's the freedom of what you're doing. Because awareness, just awareness of the voice that's inside you, that's speaking to you, making the subject of that awareness into an object and just being aware of it detaches yourself from identification with it. And so there's a great book called Untethered Soul. It's a amazing book. I highly recommend it to the people out there. Untethered Soul. And it talks about one of the things you can do is literally take that voice. Imagine you're sitting at a park bench and you take that voice, you make it into a person, and you actually sit in front of the park bench or sitting beside, and you let that part of you talk and just verbal diarrhea everywhere. But I just need you to do this. I need to do that. I know it. And you're just like, yeah, okay, yeah, interesting. Why do you want to do that? Yeah. And just let it just pour out everything. And you're like, yeah, great, fantastic. Let's go. Interesting. Keep going. And you just allow it to just, and because what that does is you're observing that part of, it's really, you're talking to yourself, but you're observing it from an observatory standpoint, not from you're the subject of it. You're it. You are now disassociating for a second. You are basically what they call differentiating it, disidentifying with it, and then you're integrating with it. You said something that's so profound just before I started talking. You said something about, something about it doesn't matter. But there's a part of you that actually does think that matters. You get what I mean? That always thinks the little things that matter. You get what I'm saying? Even if you've reached this enlightened state where you're like, I'm in one with the universe. That basically means being one with the universe means all inclusive, no exceptions, including the voice that says that doesn't matter or the voice that says it sucks. Because as soon as you separate it, it's no longer one, because you've basically created a duality. So it's beginning to accept the part of you that says, well, you're a loser, Cam, and going and stop hating that voice inside you and just accepting but you don't have to listen to it. You don't have to, that doesn't have to be your reality. For people that are listening that has that inner cynic just completely, you can just sit there like the park bench, untethered soul. Just allow that inner cynic, just sit in front of the inner cynic and just go, okay, great. It could be your mom, like a picture of your mom that's doing it, or a picture of your brother or someone at work. And yeah, you're a loser. You're never going. Interesting. Okay, fantastic. You're such a loser. You never do anything right. Yeah, interesting. Great. Why do you think that way? And you just let that and then you just accept it. And then eventually when it's finished, you then become that person. And there's a moment of peace and a release. You're like, you now have accepted that part of you as such, and you haven't pushed it away anymore. And you stop hating the hater. You stop judging the judger. You stop judging or berating the inner child in you. You stop hating the enemy inside you. You become one with it. Literally one with. That's what basically becoming one with means. Because as soon as you separate, you're no longer one. And that's what I think what the enlightened beings are trying to tell us, that is not about separating yourself from the ego. It's about becoming one with it and accepting the fact that it's always going to be. It's not like you can have an egoectomy and just like surgically remove it from yourself. You just can't do that. You can't surgically remove the inner cynic from you. It's with you. And there's a part of the inner cynic that's both positive and negative, and being able to amalgamate them and not become a slave to that inner cynic or a slave to your ego. And then that's when freedom truly occurs. And I've had moments of that. I'm certainly not enlightened. I'm certainly not Gandhi or Jesus or Buddha or Lao Tzu. I'm certainly not saying that. What I'm saying, I've had moments in my meditations where I literally accept I've got moments where I literally love the hater in me. I send it love as much as I send my wife love or my children love. And that's the level of equanimity, I think, what Jesus and Buddha and all these great people are trying to teach us. But that takes time. It takes discipline. It takes mental control. And I think that's what Buddha was talking about, the Eightfold Path. And a lot of it's about psychology and just detaching yourself from it all, from that crazy noise, but also just listening to it and then accepting it at the same time. Anyways.
Wow.
Powerful stuff, huh?
Honestly, I've never heard anybody say it like that, like ever. Yeah. I think that is the missing piece that I've had, because I know the ego. I know it when I hear it. It's really obvious at this point. Very obvious. I've been aware of it, radically aware of it, for almost a year now. And that's a loud life. when you're radically aware of this thing that isn't you, it's like constantly banging in your head, and you're like, dude, stop. But I've never heard anybody say it like that, where the moment you disassociate, that basically is what creates a shadow to start with.
Yeah, you got
That's
it.
what creates the separation. Yeah. When you disassociate something that's in your mind, it's like you're creating two perspectives. And then all of a sudden you're creating another perspective. And now there's 80 perspectives in your brain. You're like, and it's messy. It's very messy and all over the place. But if you were to just, like, the moment you said that, I just imagined observer who watches with unbearable compassion. And they're just chilling. And then when the dust settles, they step in and they control what's going on and everything. The voice is still going to be there. I know that. But it is a matter of, are you going to listen to it or not? Like,
yes, you got it.
You could do a cross Chatham walk in a blizzard, and your toes could be freezing cold, numb, and they hurt like crazy. But like, you're going to have to deal with it anyways. So you don't even think about it. Like for me, anytime anything like that happens, you're just like, okay, whatever. Like I'll be warm eventually. Doesn't bother me, because you realize that it's not going to kill you. It's just a little bit of discomfort for a little bit, and you just learn to deal with it. And I think if you could do that with your ego, with the voice in your head that will not shut up, you're setting yourself up for a pretty I would call it easy life, because life shouldn't be difficult. Like, I think there's difficult times, but in general, if life was more difficult than it was easy, we would not be here. I would definitely not be here, that's for sure. I would have left a long time ago. But life is meant to be fulfilling. It's meant to be sort of like this. I don't want to call it fun, because it's like more than fun. It's way better than fun. It's this feeling inside of your heart that is on fire when you're doing what you're supposed to do, when you're being who you're supposed to be. And I think with this newfound sort of perspective on it, I'll be able to get closer to that more frequently, which that excites me considerably more than anything in the world. Like, you could say, hey, you won the lottery, and I'd be like, now I know how to get rid of that voice. That's what I'm excited about. And not rid of that voice, but you know what I mean? Rid of the voice's influence on me. Because right now it has so much influence on me. But now
that's what the power of meditation does. You basically sit and listening to whatever voices come up or arise without judgment, and you allow them to arise on their own accord. And then when they go away, they go away, and you just accept them. One of the exercises you can do, Cam, and for the people that are listening out there, you have an inner cynic. Imagine there's an inner cynic that comes up and starts berating you. Now I want you to imagine this inner cynic is a 6-year-old child who's been completely beat down and tortured by their parents. And then the only reason why they're being cynical is because they are just basically mimicking the script that they've been given. And what would you say to the 6-year-old child? How would you respond? You wouldn't just beat the crap out of them and try and destroy them. No, you try to teach them, guide them, hold them, hug them, provide love, display compassion toward them, and then bring them up in the right way. And as you do that, as you hold them in your arms, there's a freedom, because you start to realize that, for me personally right now, God, the word God is honestly, it doesn't matter to me. What it is the presence of absolute, infinite, limitless, divine love, and it's pouring in one direction towards us right now in our seats. We're being loved into this moment, breathed into this moment, cared for in this moment right now. And if you allow that to happen, it'll transform you into the very thing that's actually transforming you. And as you become a greater instrument of love and acceptance and radical inclusivity, what will eventually happen is that inner cynic will dissolve into that love, and you'll accept everything as it is. I certainly haven't reached that point, but I know that from my study of many of the saints and sages and Sufis, they describe it as such as much as they can through words. So, man, this was a great discussion there, Cam. Hey, open discussion. I like it. Maybe every Friday we can just do that.
No, that was incredible, and it lasted so long, like it just flew by.
Exactly.
No, I love it. And for those of you listening, like, I really hope you got as much out of it as I have, because, in my opinion, like, we've done almost 80 episodes, probably 80 by now. I don't know. But this is probably the most beneficial for me.
Oh, like, wow. Good.
I'm not even kidding. The most of all of them combined.
Wow, really?
That's not me exaggerating. I'm not even kidding. Wow. I know this stuff. I do. I'm not like tooting my own horn when I say this. I have studied so much, but that was like the missing, like obvious, right in front of my face thing that I just like. It's hilarious. I'm laughing because of how obvious it was the entire time. But I've been. If you would see my journal, you'd be like, "Whoa, this kid is trying. He is like really trying." Because I'm not down with sitting around. Like I know that there's something more for me, you know, and it's great. Honestly, this it's beyond words.
My
I can't
pleasure,
even.
man. It's absolutely my pleasure to share that, and I hope you know what it was. This was perfect because open discussion. It led me to the insight that again I don't take ownership of any of the wisdom that's flowing through me. I'm just an instrument, and it probably the Spirit guided me to say, "Hey, say this because Cam needs it right now," right? And it just came out. So you know, I'll end here, there, Cam. There's a great story of Saint Francis, and someone asked him, "What would you do if at the end of the day you were to like the world would end or you would die?" And he said, "I would finish hoeing my garden." I would fit. That's all he said. It was so brilliant. It's so simple. And that says to me, he would just be completely doing what he's doing in the now, not concerned about the future. And because the ego, the inner cynic can't live in the moment. It can't contemplate the moment, which is why it always lives either in the past or in the future. And its basic fundamental reason for existence is fear, right? So it fears worries about the past and fears the future. It can't contemplate the present, which is why the soul, the spirit, the divine presence of God is in this moment. That's all that where it exists. In fact, there's a great quote that I read one time a long time ago that said, if you were to ask God what time it was, he would look at his watch and he'd say, the time is now, or she would say the time is now. And so, actually, I'll leave it at this. One of my clients asked me the other day. She said, "Oh, have you heard that Ariana Grande song, God is a Woman?" And I started laughing. She goes, "What do you think about that?" I said, "It's half true." I said, God is both women and man. So Father, Mother, God, to you women, to you men out there who are struggling and gaining strength and who are helping your fellow man, fellow woman, are making this world better. And to you who are struggling and suffering in this moment, I pray for you. I send as much love and kindness to and compassion towards you, to all the animals, to all the creatures in the world. God bless to your continued upgrade and evolution. Live it up with power, purpose, and passion. Thank you, guys. God